Hello everybody. Welcome to Behind the Magic, episode 3. This is a series where I interview fellow fantasy authors, both published and unpublished, about the magical elements of their books, because I feel like we talk a lot about plot and characters and that sort of thing, but often world building and fantasy elements kind of get glanced over, so I wanted to bring a shed more light on those aspects of novels. So today I'm going to be talking to Hannah Drinkwater about her fantasy novel that is in the works. What? Sorry, my phone just started ringing. That was weird. There she is.
Hello.
Hey, welcome. This is Hannah, everybody. This is who I will be interviewing today, and we will be talking about her work in progress. I'm going to get this wrong. A Kingdom of Fire and Ash. Perfect. I keep thinking that I'm going to mix up the order that those words come in. So.
I mean, it's one of those titles that a lot of fantasy authors use similar words with.
No problem at all. So we'll see who joins us. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. If you want to start by giving us a synopsis of what your book is about, just tell us about your book and we'll start there.
Okay, so I'm usually awful at this kind of thing, so I've made a few notes. So it's basically set in a world where there is 4 kingdoms. Each kingdom she's kind of like trapped in a gilded cage. She's very like protected by her family. She's the only daughter as well. So that's something. And she has 4 brothers, so it's the whole thing. And she wants to fight because there's a war taking place. And it's fire and earth versus water and air, so they both allied up with each other. And they don't let her go and fight. But then her best friend, who is a non-magic citizen, gets conscripted to go and fight, and she thinks she's gonna die, so she has to follow her. And then she ends up at the training base, and where loads of things happen. She ends up following her best friend and this guy that she likes from the city, who's the blacksmith's son, which of course brings complications in itself, given her status. But then there's like, while they're fighting to go to war, like preparing to go to war, and there's like someone trying to stop the entire thing and kill them all, not just let one side win. It's to stop it altogether, because that person doesn't like anyone, and it has a covert kind of mission that can't talk about because it's a huge spoiler.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I like the idea that you have of the it's funny because our 2 books are similar in those aspects, but we didn't obviously talk about this. But like in my book, Summer's Revenge, the kingdoms are divided by the seasons, and then you have the kingdoms divided by the elements. And I just think they're super cool concepts, both of them. And yours has like the Avatar: The Last Airbender vibes as well, which is like one of the coolest book series, rather, not book, out there. So I like it. People love that kind of stuff, so I'm excited that you're putting like a medieval fantasy spin on it. Yeah, and then it's cool that you said earth and fire against air and water.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. I like it. And then there's somebody trying to stop everything, which is like, who is this guy? That's I like it. All right.
I'm very
So
yeah.
I'm just gonna go through the questions that I have, and like feel free to like elaborate and talk as much or as little on each point as you want. And for those of you who are watching, we will open it to questions from you guys at the end, so definitely stick around for that. Yeah, so we've got enough to sort synopsis. It's fantasy, obviously. What kind of fantasy subgenres would you put it under?
I would say epic. I would definitely say epic. It's got a lot of obviously magic, of course, For creatures, I mean, dragons are mentioned. And
Yes,
I've
we
got
love dragons.
phoenixes. Yeah, I've got
Ooh, phoenixes, that's
phoenixes,
cool.
mermaids, just any loads of things like that. Really, each creature kind of pairs with the kingdom of the element that they fall under. So like phoenixes are kind of found often in the fire kingdom, and then obviously your mermaids are found in like the water kingdom, and centaurs in the earth kingdom. You know, that kind of thing.
Oh, I love it. I have fun. I have a similar thing in my books too. So I love it. I love it so much. Um, how long? So this one's like not necessarily about this book, but like how long have you been writing? Kind of tell us about your how you how you came to be where you are.
So I started writing when I was 8. It's so funny actually because I used to obviously be a huge reader, as many of us are. And I remember my parents saying to me like, "Oh, have you ever thought about like doing this yourself?" You know. And as a kid, I used to think you had to be like selected to be a writer. I thought it was that special. You had to be chosen by some almighty force to be like, yeah, you're good enough. You can write a book. You're allowed to share your words with everybody else. So when they told me this, I was like, what? You mean the people who are writing these books that I love so much just sat down and did it themselves? That's crazy. So, I mean, I tried, and that was it. So that was when I was 8, and I'm almost 23 now. So that's almost 15 years now.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I look back at mine. I'm like, how many years have I been doing this?
Crazy.
Nope, I love that. That's awesome. And yeah, it's there's so many people that think they have to be chosen. Even like for me, like I went the self-publishing route, and there's still so many people that think that that's like a cop out or whatever. Like, no, the publishers have to choose your book to like say that it's any good. I'm like, no, I'm gonna say my book's good myself because I know it is, and you know it is, and
Yes, it is. For
you
anybody
know,
watching, buy Emma books.
we don't need people to tell us that we can create anything or share it with people. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us more about the fantasy world that you've created and the magic system. Like how does it work and what inspired it?
So, as I previously stated, it's divided into 4 kingdoms: fire, water, earth, and air. And some citizens in each kingdom have magic pertaining to that element. So, some people have fire magic, some people have air magic, earth magic, water magic, etc. But not everybody does. But like I said, there's creatures relating to each element. And something interesting about the the kingdoms is the air kingdom. Nobody actually knows where it is. So nobody actually knows where it is. Those who have visited, when there's been like meetings between some representatives of each kingdom, have been sworn to secrecy. Nobody knows where it is, why it's being hidden, and I mean I know what's why it's being hidden, but
It's big
you know
for somebody to know.
so yeah, and each kingdom has a royal family, of course. Fires is known for like being very harsh and quite heated, as is the Fire Kingdom's way. And waters are very calm and gentle. It's very religious and grounded. Air is very nonchalant and secretive. I was inspired by to be able to create a world that explored like all of these dynamics, as well as how elements link with each other, so how they contrast, but also how they have similarities. So like you can't have oxygen, which is linked to air, without earth and trees and nature. So these kingdoms, they're fighting with each other, but they actually
Right.
have more in common than they think, and they need each other.
Right. No, that's awesome. I like it. Yeah, because how you can't, like, fire in nature doesn't burn without air and without some kind of thing to fuel it. So yeah, like it's all connected. I like that.
Thank you.
Do like the royal families, are they typically like made up of like the most powerful magic users in the kingdom?
Um, so the royal
Like,
families are rich enough in that they can afford a magic tutor. So the royal family's children, children of the royal families, they get tutors, whereas a lot of people in the city who are blessed enough to have have to have like cultivated themselves, not something that's very like dangerous because they don't know how to use it. Whereas the likes of the protagonist Blaze and her brothers, they have been taught by the best in the kingdom, essentially, so they are quite powerful in their own right.
Nice. Yeah, so the more magical power and control you have, the higher your status, basically.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, next question. Does your world have a religion or any special holidays?
Oh, so there are gods for every kingdom. It's not something that a lot of kingdoms place stock in, even though that there are gods, there are legends. Earth is a very big one though of the four. They're quite religious. They're very grounded. Quite a peaceful people and like to place stock in a lot of religion. I mean, Blaze comes across many citizens on her travels, and she kind of learns from them how important religion is, and she kind of grapples with her own struggles of like the afterlife. You find this is not a spoiler, but you find out that her grandfather died, and she's having a really hard time with that because her grandmother is, for want of a better word, not a great person, and is forcing her all these like ideals of what a princess should be when she would just wants to be like out in the open, fighting for her people and like being with her friends in the city and all the rest of it. So she kind of struggles with the afterlife and religion and kind of that sense. But Earth is very much the one that kind of places stock in the gods, even though each kingdom has them.
Right. Nice. I like it. Um, try to keep on track here. Let me see what I got going. Oh yes, this is a fun one. So we've kind of partially answered it already, but how does your main character and your villain relate to the magical aspects of your world? So obviously, Blaze, your main character, has magic herself. I don't know how much is a spoiler, but like, how does she feel about magic, and then how does your villain feel about it or relate to it?
She loves it, Blaze, and she loves it. She's ever since she's been able to like learn how to use it from her magic teacher Solio. She's been trying to be the best that she can. I mean, she does try to outdo her older brothers quite a lot. So she just really enjoys using it, but her younger brother struggles with that more. So she kind of tries to teach him the beauty of it. Then the villain is a huge spoiler, because that's the person trying to end everyone, everything. So I'm going to give you somebody different who is an opponent, not a villain,
Right.
an opponent. So of course you've got Blaze, who is the princess of the Fire Kingdom. She wants to fight and does end up fighting because she follows her best friend against her family's wishes. She jets off. Nobody knows where she's gone. But she's like, no, I'm not going to let my best friend who doesn't have magic die on the front lines without trying to protect her. So the water opponent, the prince, River Brooks, he has been allowed to go to war. And Blaze knows very much about him. I mean, he's like the prince of an opposing kingdom, so she knows like how he fights. She knows what kind of person he is, and she's determined that she can be better than him and that she can bring him down and end the entire thing. So yeah, he's an only child. So he feels very much the same about magic in that he loves it, but he has had his parents have been able to throw all their resources at him.
Right.
Even though he's a prince and they've got plenty, they've been able to throw everything at him. So he's quite confident in his abilities, but Blaze reckons that she can beat him.
Nice. No, I like it. I like that contradiction of her having lots of siblings and him being an only child. I love playing with dynamics like that too. Like it's fun.
You do
um,
siblings very well. You do siblings very well. I've always loved how you do siblings.
do you have siblings?
I have a younger sister, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I do too. I have a younger sister. So yeah, I read so many books growing up where siblings were either like killing each other or non-existent, and ever since then I'm like, no, I'm gonna write like good siblings, like obviously in some of my books there is drama related to them, but I've always found it important to play around with family and sibling relationships and not just have romances and friendships, because I mean your sibling is the most like the bestest friend that you have, and you also can't stand them, right? Like it's just like it's the coolest dynamic. I don't know why more authors don't use it well,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But um okay, next question. Okay, yes, this one's good. So what is your favorite fun fact about the world or the magic system? And you can say multiple fun facts if you want.
So one that came to mind for this was so in this world, fire magic can't be quenched by water magic, or else we wouldn't have much of a war on our hands really. This was something that I had to try and sit down and figure out, and we wouldn't have much of a war on our hands really with fire versus water if water was able to put out fire. So the magic kind of butts head to head, and like normal fire that hasn't been created by magic, normal water acts the same as it does in our world. But when it comes from a magical being, is cast from a magical being, they kind of go head to head, and they can both just be as deadly as each other. In this sense, water doesn't have any effect on fire, even though it can be dangerous, can still drown you. It doesn't have effect on fire, so that makes it better in that and harder in the war,
Right.
because like the fire citizens, like they're not going to be taken out by water. They just put head to head, you know. So that was something. I also love the creatures. That's something I've really enjoyed playing around with, especially the phoenixes. Blaze has her own phoenix called
Ooh,
Sage,
nice.
um, and Sage is like a really grumpy, you know, kind of little guy. Just he just doesn't want to be there. He just has better things to do. And then they have a family. They have a family phoenix. Blaze has her own, which was given to her by her grandmother, obviously Sage, when her and her grandmother still had a good relationship, and she was trying to bribe Blaze into being the person that she wanted her to become as a child before she kind of broke three of those like restrictions. And then they have a family phoenix as well called Aurora, who is also great to raise.
Love it. Now, this is not a question on the thing, but is um Blaze has older brothers?
Yes, she has two older brothers.
So so she's not first in line for the throne then.
Well, she's she's not. She thinks she could do a good job, but she's more concerned with her freedom. But her grandmother has a different idea. I mean, her grandmother, she wants to see a woman on the throne. I mean, I suppose that's very feminist of her. I know, but she does it in a way that doesn't give Blaze a choice.
Right.
And her mother's very much under her grandmother's thumb. So her her parents are the current rulers. Um, and she's lost her grandfather, and her grandmother is still alive. But despite the fact that her mother's the queen, she's still very much under the grandmother's thumb, and she'll do whatever she wants her to do, essentially. And the grandmother just wants to be able to whisper things into Blaze's ear and regain control, which she doesn't think she'll be able to do with her older brothers. Um,
Right.
but in order for Blaze to be queen, she has to give up all the things that she wants. I mean, like I said, she meets somebody in the city who's a blacksmith's son. That would never be allowed. That would never be. It would be unthought of, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, she's not next in line. She thinks she could do a good job, but she wants freedom, and her grandmother is going to try and force her to do the job, and thinks that she can succeed to get the brothers to stand down.
Fun. Families are great.
Yeah, happy
Um,
families.
okay, so a question that kind of goes away from your books a bit, but what is your favorite fictional world or magic system?
Okay, I don't want to be the basic person and say like the big obvious one that we've all read, Harry Potter. Um, I don't want to be that basic, but I do love you're probably not going to be surprised when I say this. Scrolls Are Very Pleasant by Derek Landy, and I will promote that series till the day I die because it's so underrated. And I read the books as a kid. I still do. They're still coming out. I just think it's so clever. They've got the two branches of magic, the adepts and the elementals. And I'm not going to lie to you. Like I took a lot of inspiration from the elemental side of things. You know, and then when they go through their surge, they don't know what magic they're going to get. They just know that they've produced something at first, whether it's adept magic or elemental magic, and then when they go through the surge, it could be anything. And then it's just the mystery of not knowing what that could be after having had so many years of experience with one or the other is very interesting to me. And I always, when reading the books and new characters came on the scene, I always loved like waiting until they hit like a certain age and then seeing them go through that surge and seeing what kind of magic they would get.
Yeah, I need to get back into that series. I've only read like three or four of them, I think, because I was reading them at the library and I came across I don't know what number it is, but the Faceless Ones.
Yeah, I love that one.
It was just sitting on at the end, like it was on a display at the library. So I picked it up, I read the back, and I didn't realize it was like book 3 or 4. So I read it and I was like, I am so confused. But it was good. So I had to go back and find the prior books and read those. And then I think I reread the Faceless Ones. But then I didn't go further past that because I don't think my library had the
Yeah.
books at the time. And then I just kind of forgot to go back. Like, I've always been meaning to go back. But yeah, it was definitely a whiplash starting with like book 3 or 4. I was like, what is happening? Who is this guy? Why is he a skeleton, but like also not? Like, it was just like, where's my context? But definitely it really like, I mean, it did a good job of pulling me in despite my
Yeah.
confusion. So
Yeah. I'm sorry, just got to take a second. I can't imagine being you and reading the book and be like, this skeleton can walk and talk. Like, what is this?
what is
Like,
yeah, no. There's been a couple times where I've picked up like book 3 or 4 in a series, and sometimes it's like super obvious in the case of that book, but then other times it's like just like this little nagging feeling in the back of my head, like, I feel like there's something missing here. And then you find out that it's like book 3 in the series. Like that would be why I'm confused. Because I read this vampire series once, and it's like 7 books, but each book follows 2 different POV characters.
yeah,
But so like it's about new characters, so I'm learning about these new characters in book 3, but I don't know like the plot progresses, right? So they're referencing things that I have no idea what they're talking about because they would have explained it in book 1 or 2. So I'm like, who is that person? Why haven't they told me who that person is? But I'm supposed to know who that person is because I'm supposed to have read. So yeah, and then you have to go back and it's like I don't know why it's so hard for authors to put a number on their book.
yeah. Will save everybody a lot of time.
Like it was like that's like one of the major things that I made sure I put on my books when I published them was a number on the spine, and like just anywhere I could put what number it was, I would put the number. Like on the cover it will say like book 1, book 2. It'll say it on the title page. I'll have a list of the books in order on the inside. Like there'll be no way that anybody will pick up book 3 thinking it's book 1
I
because I
can't
can't have
imagine anybody reading Winter's Wrath without the context of Summer's Revenge.
right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
the whirlwind that book took me through.
Like it would be so. I mean, I'm sure they would figure out quite quickly that they've made a mistake, but I don't want people buying a book thinking it's the first book, especially when they could only, afford to buy one book at a time. Now they gotta wait to buy book 1,
Yeah.
or I don't want anybody going through that. But yeah, that's my
You
little rant.
personally will end it. You will end it here.
Yeah, we will end it there. Um, do you listen to music when you write, and if so, what?
Oh, I do. I struggle to write without music. If I'm being completely honest. I feel like it just sets the vibe of the writing session. Um, in terms of if we're talking about Kingdom of Fire and Ash, a lot of music I listen to for that is Blaze's theme tune would be "Loyal, Brave and True" by Christina Aguilera, which is from the live-action Mulan
Oh,
movie, which is
okay, cool,
a
cool.
fantastic film. I listen to that a lot. Or "Speechless" by Naomi Scott, which is from the live-action Aladdin movie. You can kind of see a theme of live-action Disney movies here. I promise it wasn't intentional. Um, and I do love a bit of instrumental music like the Test Drive from How to Train Your Dragon or anything from Game of Thrones fits the bill, to be honest. But like actual bookish writer songs, there's The Writer by Ellie Goulding, The Author by Luz, or Literature Lovers by Jose Vanders.
Nice. Yeah, I listen to some How to Train Your Dragon too, so it's just it just puts me in the mood to be like happy and epic and whatever.
I feel like we're very much on the same wavelength here.
Yeah, I feel so too. Um, yeah, so the last question is kind of more geared towards like published authors, but we can still like talk. So like obviously A Kingdom of Fire and Ash is yet to be released. So like I guess you could say like what are your plans for the book? And do you have anything else that people can currently read or that you're working on? Like just let us know what your plans are for the future.
Right. Oh gosh, I have a lot of plans. In terms of the book, I made a promise to a friend this year that I would finally send something to a literary agent or self-publish or do something. I don't think that's going to be possible this year. However, I am going to work towards it and I'm going to finish something. And I hope that it will be this book. I mean, it's in like its third draft. Um, and I feel like I can, if I push, I can get there. But I'm also doing a master's degree in publishing, as you know, which takes up a lot of my time, but it's definitely worth it. And I'm hoping after I graduate in that at the end of this year that I can, she says hopefully, find a job in the industry at a publishing house somewhere, in like an entry role, so do something like that. And that's the current plan. Then I am currently helping to lead and edit and write for a team project that me and some friends are doing, called the Platypus Project. We've been doing that for over a year now, and it is we're trying to produce a short story collection titled 31 Frights with a team of over 15 creatives. So I've been helping to put that together and lead it, and I've been reading through all of the submissions that people have been sending in, and it's brilliant. So we're hoping we're going to put that together, and then I'm going to help the project manager and our creative supervisor to construct the main narrative around that, and hopefully we should get that done as soon as possible, and then we will publish that too.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like you got a lot going on, but it's good stuff. I am excited to eventually read your work, either Kingdom of Fire and Ash or anything else that you do put out. But that's awesome. I don't have any more questions left. If there is anybody watching live that has a question for Hannah, please put it into the live and we will answer it. I'll give a few minutes for that because there's a bit of a time delay between you guys typing and us actually seeing it. So we'll give a few minutes for that. But I just wanted to say thank you so much to you, Hannah, for joining me for this. It's short, but I just feel like it's fun. Oh,
It
we
is
got a
very
question.
fun, very fun. Thank you for inviting me. I know I'm not a published author, but I appreciate having the actual time to have a soundboard to talk about writing, because it really does make you want to reach that level of
Yeah, I wanted
publication.
it to be a space for all authors of any type and process in their process. So, Pokeblee asks if you could transpose your characters from this book into a world from another book, film, or TV series, where would you put them?
Oh, that's my friend. That's a good question. Oh, I mean, I feel like the most obvious answer would be Game of Thrones, because I feel like they cross over very well. But I would love to see our characters interact, Emma. I feel like, especially since our worlds are are very similar. I feel like the kingdoms of like summer and winter and autumn and spring, they could all coincide with the elements.
Yeah, I feel I can just imagine like your like fire characters meeting because my books have elemental magic too, so I can just imagine like Blaze and her family meeting Eisen and his family. Like I don't know if they'd be friends or not. Like, it might, maybe Blaze could teach a certain someone how to better control his powers because we all know that he's a bit of a mess.
He's my mess.
Yeah,
He's my mess.
he's our mess. We love him, but he's definitely a mess. And he gets into all kinds of trouble in book 3, like the problems of that, yeah.
Continue. Tell me more about book 3.
Well, he's like, you know, he's using this magic that he still is not very like he thinks that he's good at it and he's got it all down pat and then like he things get out of control and he doesn't know how to fix it and other people have to fix his problems because
I love him.
I'm gonna butcher this name. I think it's pronounced Aoife.
That's my friend too.
Okay, where do you put your main inspirations from for your stories?
Other books, I think, other books, other writers, they're always something that I kind of look at and I'm like, I wish I could create something like you've created, and then I then have the motivation to sit down and think, well, what is it that I love so much about that story, and do I have any ideas of my own that I can kind of cultivate and learn from those other books. The music is always a really big one too. Because I just feel like an entire song is just a scene in itself, just waiting to be written.
Yep, I agree. I take a lot of inspiration from books too, like the Seasonal Kingdoms. I got that from the Iron Fae series by Julie Kagawa. I think that's a big thing in a lot of like Fae stories is like there's the summer court and there's the winter court and whatever. And so I took that idea, but I put it into like a completely fictional like medieval world and then just went from there. I'm like, what if they weren't fairies? What if they were humans? And what if, like, because usually the fairy world is in conjunction to the real world, right? And they like layers and whatever. But this is just like, this is a realm. There's no like modern world. It's just them and this kingdom, and yeah. So that's where that came from for me.
I've been wanting to read that series for a while, ever since you always post about it. It's on my list.
Oh, you should. It's definitely like very YA fantasy, but
Yeah.
it's just so good. Like you read it and like you don't even realize how quickly you're reading it until like it's over and you're like, wait a minute, what? and but yeah, it's so good. I'm still sitting on the like final book because I'm like so terrified for my favorite characters after like I've been reading this series since 2013 and I'm just like, I don't want to read the last book because what if someone dies? Like, if I don't read it, everybody still lives, you know? Like, I live in this universe where everybody's still okay. Because I'm just like, there's like 3 main like characters that the series has kind of followed and they've been there since the beginning and nobody's died yet. And I'm just like really nervous. So I haven't read the final book and I don't know how long it'll take me to actually read it, but yeah.
I mean,
I hope to
I
do
love
a
that
reread.
tactic, the avoidance tactic.
Yeah, I hope to do a reread before I finish like the final book. So if
Yeah.
I happen to be doing that and you want to read along with me, I'll let you know when I'm doing that. But it might not be for like 10 years if I like really get into this
Yeah.
procrastination.
That honestly, that fits into my schedule. So the amount of stuff I've got to do and read, that fits into my schedule fine.
Yeah, my reading schedule is out of hand too. Yeah, so if no one has any more questions, I guess we will wrap it up. This will be posted to my feed as a video you can watch whenever. I will also be uploading it to my YouTube channel, and I hope to eventually also have a podcast for myself for different things. So these Behind the Magic episodes will be uploaded as audio to a podcast at some point in the future if I can figure out how to do that, because I'm not very technologically savvy. But yeah, this is Behind the Magic, a series where I interview fantasy authors like Hannah, like myself, and there will be one every month around this time, so definitely stay tuned, follow for updates, and definitely follow Hannah because she's an amazing person and writer, and you should check out her stuff and bully her into writing and finishing her projects. Nicely, though. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me, Hannah. Everybody else, thank you for joining both of us. And yeah, that's all.
Thank you for having me, and have a lovely day.
Yeah, you too.
See you later.
Bye.